Yes, good evening, Bermuda. Maceo Deal here, reporting for Digicel as the sports ambassador. To my right here, who I have with me, I have the great Alfie Eve, the son of Douglas Eve, and why we're here today. I also have Sion Darrow, the assistant coach from Dandytown, and to my left, I have the great Mark Niels and Zico White, the captain of Dandytown. Afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump into it. On Wednesday, November 11th, which has been traditional in Bermuda, we host a final here. The final is the Dudley Eve. Right, I have Alfie Eve. Can you tell me a little bit about where the origin of this actual game came from?
Okay, yes, Macy. It came about as a result of my father's contribution to sport, particularly football. Um, as you may or may not know, he was a very long time outstanding administrator of football in this country. He passed away in '77, and as a result, the FA under President Dr. Gerard Bean decided that they would do a competition to honor his legacy. As a result, that league was born. Um, at that time, I think the format was a bit different than what it is now. Um, Initially, the top four teams at the halfway point of the season were the teams that qualified for the league, and it was a big money deal for those clubs in those days. As a matter of fact, a few times the winners actually earned enough money that they could take preseason tours and stuff like that. Um, I had the privilege of coaching PHC on a number of occasions when we won the Dud League, and it was quite pleasing to know that I was able to win the trophy in his honor. Um, there have been some changes to the Dud League since then. Um, I think at one time it even became international. I think Barbados won the Dud League here in Bermuda, and they ended up taking the trophy to Barbados. So I think we're playing for a different trophy nowadays than what we used to. So up to today, uh, up to today, I think the format now is 6 teams as opposed to four. So I don't know about the money spread. I don't know if the money is still involved, but certainly when it was initially set up, it was designed for those four clubs to earn some money, and it was. I think we had a two-leg final in those days. Now you only have
Well,
one, right?
well, let's talk about the two-leg final a little
Yeah.
bit because I mean I grew up in football and we used to. Yeah. So yeah, I grew up in football and yeah, so I grew up in football and definitely when I was away in university, I was able to come back in the dog leaves. That was something that all the university kids look forward to. So it kind of upped the ante and the level of, it, and it was played over two legs. So why has it switched to one leg now?
I really don't know. It's probably because of the increase in the number of teams involved. Um, but certainly initially, uh, it was played from Boxing Day until New Year's Day, and uh, it was one game in between, normally on a Friday night, prior to New Year's Day, and then we went to the second leg of the finals on New Year's Day. So it was a really big thing. Lots of people. We had plenty crowds then. Unlike today, I guess you don't get as many people, but there were a lot of crowds, and that's why the money was so good for the clubs. Yeah.
But let's just have a conversation about that, about the crowds. What in your opinion? Because I do understand your contribution to football. You know, you was at PHC at a thriving time in the '80s when they played a lot of international football. You know, what in your opinion do we need to do in our game to bring the quality back up?
That's a good question, Macy, because to be quite honest, the level and the standard of football today is not what it was then. So it's not really that interesting. You know, when you go to a game of football today, it's the same old slog, right? In my day, you could identify players and good players in every team, right? It was easy to identify, like the Gumbo Beans, Joe Trust, Rondo Baxters at North Village, the George Brangmans, the Tricks Richardson, those type of fellas at Somerset, Kenny Barrett, Buller Anderson, Frankie Ming, those type of fellas at PHC. So it was thrilling to see those type of footballers. Today it's dead again, you know, and they might not agree, and I don't expect them to because they're playing the game today. So I would
I get you.
expect them to defend their position. I'm just trying to show the difference between what it was back then and what it is now in terms of crowds. Um, I think that the social aspect of the game has changed. Um, Certainly in my day, it was a family affair. People could come, they could bring the children, and I've seen times where there's been no room for people, but people are still coming. You know, back in the day, the initial league kickoff game was played between Somerset and PHC. It was called the Paul Hudson Cup, and it was played a year about 1 year in Somerset, 1 year at PHC, and we used to have upwards of 6,000 people to those games. And it was decided by the BFA that they would replace that season with the Charity Cup.
Okay,
So they
so
they
that
they,
that's
they followed the English rule in that. Yeah.
well. Let's fast forward today because we have people here that are going to be responsible for bringing the quality of the game back up.
Right.
You have Zion Darrow here. He's just recently taken his coaching badge as well as Mark Mills is taking his coaching badge. So this newer generation has got a big responsibility to try to figure out how to raise the standard of the game. So let's just talk about Danny Tom because Danny Tom's been kind of flying high, and the quality of football and the creative player that you got in your team is starting to present entertainment factor. So I see other people coming out with it. Can you just speak to the creative part of Danny Tom and what's happening out there?
Um, we definitely owe a lot of that to our youth program and our foundation. Like that's like it's grassroots. Starts from there, and that's all always got players coming through, and that's can fill gaps. But being on the coaching staff, that's like one of our check our boxes. Play good football, entertain the crowd, at least bring people that don't really come to games back out to football. So, and the coach always says that. Kwame always says that. Let's bring the old fans back up. So that's actually like one of our goals. Like as far as playing in the game.
So let's talk about that a little bit because I regularly mention at the top levels of football, you get a Suarez that bites somebody at the World Cup. You get a Zinedine Zidane that butts somebody at the World Cup final, and these people are on the edge. Our country has not really readily accepted athletes that are on the edge. You guys have a lot of players over there on the edge. How are you managing that?
No, that's like we talked about that earlier. That's definitely when players are at the peak. Like when you haven't lost it yet, but you're right on that edge, that fine line where you're at your best, like you're aware of everything. So I feel like we manage it well. I wouldn't say we have players that's on a lot of players on there, but like the coaches, we're from that type of environment. We cope well. That we can relate to them. You know what I mean? So like even myself, I'm a very nice guy. But on the field, I'm nice, but I'm on the edge. Like so that's just the way it is. That's when you're at your peak. But I think we manage well. We manage it very well because we can relate to that type of that heightened anxiety.
So just switching over to Mark here. Definitely, the origin of this game, football, comes from the street. That's the origin of the game worldwide. We talk about Maradona, we talk about Pele, we talk about all those people. The origin of the game comes from the street. You're also responsible for managing and relating to these kids that that have challenging upbringing, and you seem to be managing that well over Cougars. Can you speak to that connection that you're making with your team these days?
Well, I'd say last 2, 3 years we kind of had that little issue, but this season it's been more. We have more of a mature team. Guys are more business minded. But how I dealt with it, how we dealt with it is freedom of expression. You know, you can't shut the kids down. You can't shun them. You can't push them away. You got to show them love. You know, and get them to express what they got, what they feel, what they bring. Yes. Um, the age factor of it is clear guidelines when you come to the club. You know, you have rules in the streets, you have rules in the clubs, you have rules in church, rules in school. When you come to the club, there's rules. So that's we have to discipline guys. But if you want to play football, you bring that little edge. Let's bring it onto the field and show them what you got.
And what people don't understand about the game of football generally in the world, football was a tool that was put in to stop men from going to war. Men were going to war,
Yes.
and they created sporting things so men can express their testosterone, their ego in a sporting environment, and it's grown to business now. What do we need to do to figure out how to get ourselves to the next level in football in Bermuda?
I had a lot of good thoughts about that. Well, one thing I was thinking, but one thing I had in mind that is that us as a whole island, we all have to come in. Our sister Mr. Eve talked, and back in the day, guys were showing up to the field with 6 packs and their legs already defined because they was in the trees, in the hills, they eating good. Now we have a different culture, whereas if you have to encourage your player to build your body, build your mind, build your mindset. So going forward, my thought to getting the game back to where it was, we need good funding. Number one, we need support from all levels. Number two, and number three, I was thinking of a government tax, $1 out of everybody's check towards sports. Yeah, you could turn it semi-professional like that.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
We're gonna put our first trivia question out there. Uh, the first trivia question: who was the first winner of the Doug Lee Trophy? Uh, So please comment on our Facebook page as to who was the first winner of the Doug Lee Trophy. Uh, yeah, I'm just getting schooled on this here, folks. I'm getting schooled on it. I'm not used to this. So. All right, thank you. And the prize for the person that answers this question correctly will be a 14-day Prime bundle from Digicel, and that prize can be you can come to Digicel tomorrow after 10:30 to collect your prize. But just moving on it back into the game, you're talking about a government tax to be able to fund sports. I know that in the UK that to fund their sporting events they have a lottery. So they look. That's how they figure out how to fund their sporting. And the UK knows exactly what they want out of sports, what it means to their citizens. You know, Bermuda's in the early stages. That Alfie, I mean, I've been around you a little bit because my brother's married to your daughter, so I get to hang around you and learn certain things. So we have a winner. Just breaking. Kelly is the winner of that question. So Kelly, you can come to This Out tomorrow after 10:30 to collect your 14-day Prime bundle. And just for the audience, uh, the answer to that question is Devonshire Colts were the first winner in 1978-79 season. They actually played North Village in that match, and that was at the time that it was a two-leg final. Uh, so Alfie, you hear we're talking about a government tax to to promote sports. I heard that many years ago you had a proposal as to a lottery.
Well, yeah,
Can you just speak to that a bit?
sure, Macy. It was 50 years ago. I was in the government in youth and sport at the time, and there actually was a proposal made that we wanted to start a sports lottery. The minister at the time was Mr. Lancelot Swan, um, and he took it to the cabinet, and they actually had a discussion on that in the House, and the result was that while it was a good idea and it could be useful, they had to consider. Well, this is the government speaking now. They had to consider the churches and the fact that a lottery would have been seen as a form of gambling. So they decided that they would not proceed with
Interesting.
that. Um, but as a result of that, the national stadium that we see today was built as a, I guess, a prize for sport in Bermuda. And still today, in my opinion, I think the national stadium is underused, um, because in other countries, the national stadium is everything. It's your showpiece. Um, in some countries, like Suriname and places like that, actual league matches are played at the national stadium to give players the feeling of being in the best place in terms of the sport. But here, um, it's more of a showpiece, I think, than an actual national stadium.
Okay, interesting. Let me just jump over to Zico White there. How you doing, Mr. White? Again, Mr. White is the captain of Davernshire Cougars. So first of all, I've seen you old summer running in the arboretum with your brother there. What's that about, man? We're just Mark's just talked about preparing your body, preparing your mind, and that's what I've seen just all summer by yourself at first, and then with Cougars. What's that about? You at the arboretum doing your extras.
Me personally, that's a way of life to me. Football is life to me. So there's the things that you gotta do to keep up. And again, you also gotta be able to keep up with certain meals, like. So that's just what I do.
Mm. You've definitely been,
Natural.
yeah, you've definitely been a hard-nosed defender in there. What's your expectation of what you're gonna have to deal with come Wednesday, dealing with these creative players that Danny Tom's gonna be bringing at you?
That's gonna have to lead from the back. Give me a lot of work because I know they're coming. They're coming.
Well, some interesting dynamics happening here, guys. There's some of the interesting dynamics that Mark Mills is first cousins with Kwame Steed. Uh, Mark Steed, president of the Cougars, is brothers with Kwame Steed. Does that add for you, Mark, interesting and heightened dynamics, to be able to get one over on your cousin?
Yeah, it most definitely does because at the end of the day, it's about bragging rights. Other people got in the film with us, and it's like, yeah, you that Kwame beat you. So I definitely can. We got to show up, man. It's a must. Kwame knows that too. That's probably why it's not here.
Yeah, I think his Kwame is going in the preparation room.
Yes.
In the preparation room. The last game you guys played against Danny Ton that I saw out at BA, I think that you bossed the game. Unfortunately, that you lost that game. But you definitely bossed that game. I've seen you've been the only team that's really been able to step up and play against Danny Ton. When I say play against them, not just lock off they do actually outplay them in times. What are your boys a little bit more motivated going into this final? Knowing that you lost against Anyton in the previous match that you played.
I could say that I know that we're ready. I know I'm motivated. I know
It's
that.
taking it easy here, folks. It's giving the
Yes.
politically
Yes,
correct
yes,
answer.
I'm gonna be politically correct.
Correct.
Yes, I know I'm motivated. I know my team is prepared mentally and physically ready for Denny Don because it was a match. The last two matches was very, 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 very hard to take. Very hard to take at the end of the night when we left BAA. It was very hard to swallow. Very hard. We had big chance after big chance after big chance, and then the town came like the thief in the night with two boom boom, and it was over. So lessons are gonna have to be learned. And Wednesday we
Well, that's Kwame's way, isn't it? I mean, Kwame drift. You're playing football with him. He drifts
yes,
off at the back
yes,
post.
yes,
He goes unnoticed. He makes this
yes,
blind side run, and then all of a sudden he pops up and is in the goal.
yes,
That's something that he's now coming out in his football as a coach. Is
yeah,
that person, that piece is starting to come
yes.
out. He's all of a sudden we're talking
Those
about
punishes, yes.
this inexperienced coach in Kwame, first time taking over Danny Tan, and he's exciting everybody.
Yes.
How do you stop that blind side run that you know is coming?
Yes, well, how do we stop it? Prepare for it, and then we ourselves we try to be the organized tornado that they're not ready for. You understand? Not the storm that they know we have. We got to be the tornado, show up on the day and wreak havoc. That's the only way.
Well, well, Danny, I mean, Davernshire Cougars for me over the years has been what I call a momentum team.
Yes,
Once they get the momentum, then that momentum just keeps going, and they could be ruthless with that momentum. How do you get to that point? Do you need the drums?
drums are out.
The drums out.
Yeah,
Oh, so
drums are back.
the drums are back
Yeah,
because those drums were serious.
yeah. The matter is to fill up. Yeah.
Okay,
Certainly.
that's what I like to
Drums
hear.
coming.
Gotta override that bell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drawing out the bow.
Well, just switching over to Danny Tano, but this is getting interesting. This is what I like, right? I like hyping this thing right up. This is I'm rating my element here. No Tino, no Bob, no girls. How do you fix that?
I mean, that's what the people would say, but I'm got two of the top strikers in Bermuda for the last couple of years in my team, so I know we got girls in us. That's in our DNA. We create chances, so that's not we're not worried about that. So believe it or not, we work hard on our defense. If we don't leak no goals, we're gonna score goals. We're gonna create chances. That's just what we do.
So just with that, I've seen. I mean, for me, starting the game immediately, what I saw you guys do against North Village, and my team up the national stadium. Nobody really beats North Village like that, 4-0 up the national stadium. With Tino Richardson, he makes forward movement. He creates opportunities, and all of a sudden, without him, that domination that you're hitting the game. And I say domination, I mean you're showing a bit of steel, but that domination to really exploit the team, open teams, it's kind of going away. But I've seen this kid, Swan, come into your team now. He brings another element. Can you just speak to what he brings to the team table?
Yeah, he's not really been out beginning of the season due to work commitments or whatever, but just came training, has put in the work. He had a beep test like maybe it was last week, and he when he finished the beep test, so he's definitely mentally ready to go. And his Tina's best friend, so that's what they do. That's Tina's a big miss. That's obviously a key player for us in our attacking and our creative side, but Janaze can also unlock defenses too.
So when are we going to see Bob and Tina back?
I can't say. I know
Or you're
I don't
keeping
I
it a
don't know that
secret?
Bob's gonna play. Tina may be available, but I honestly can't say. But they are a big miss in our attack. So we have to find ways to score without damn scoring. But like I said, we got Angelo Simmons, who's won the Golden Boot like 4 years in a row. So Corey Robinson, who's probably came second. So we have goal scorers.
So one thing that you find with players on the edge, you gotta figure out ways of managing. I'm not quite sure what happened the other day with Jermaine. Jermaine was substituted in the first half. What went on there?
So I'm gonna say sometimes you have to make an example. Everybody has their moments where everything's okay and when you go over the top and you explode. So um my coach is a firm believer of that. So if it happens, it could have been me, it could have been someone else. It doesn't matter who it is. If you feel disrespected as a coach, then you're gonna have to make those rational decisions, but also trust your decision. We made a key sub in the first half, one of our better defenders, but he trusts the team, and we trust his decision. So
Will we see Jermaine on Wednesday? The difficult questions are coming in now, folks.
So
You know?
my opinion would be yes, but we have a disciplinary committee, and that's what the rule is. So it's got to take the proper procedures.
So we're just gonna switch over to we're gonna put the next question out there for the public. How many times has Dandy Ton won the Doug Leave Trophy? And I recognize that the Doug Leave Trophy transition and it was played on the Martinburg, but we're talking about the Doug Eve Trophy here. How many times has Dandy Ton actually won the Doug Eve Trophy? Let me just shake up the little box to see what you get out of here. What did you win today? Okay, $50 gift voucher at Gibbons Company. And again, these prizes can be collected from Digicel after 10:30 tomorrow in the exchange, the old Telco Exchange building on Victoria Street. So $50 from Gibbons Company to the first person that answers their question correctly. Okay. And right now we don't have the right answer coming in that's not correct. So how many times, again, just for anybody just tuned in, how many times has Danny Tom won the Doug Lee Eve Trophy? So Mark, just I've been I've been sorry, we have a winner? We have a winner, Miles Youssef. So Mal, you can come in tomorrow after 10:30, 2 digits out to collect your prize. $50 gift voucher at Givens Company to collect your prize. So Mark, I'm been really impressed. You have a player over there that originates from a North Village in Shekai Casey. I've been really impressed with the way how you're been able to manage the players on the edge per se. You know, where does that come from for you to be able to keep managing you and Vance managing that group that you have there?
Well, it comes from, well, me and Vance are both the same type of guys. We're very humble, and we approach it humble. We give everybody the leeway, and if you violate, either go home or act right. It's easy. But with Shekai's been good. Shekai's came in. It's been a good addition. As a neighborhood boy, all his ace boys play for Cougars. He's always been coming Cougars, not to say it like that, but I hope his dad is listening. I'm telling his daddy he's a Cougar. He's always been coming. He's arrived, and with him, it's just more or less. He's got a lot of feelings. So with Shekai, I deal with Shekai. How could I say it? I deal with him gently. I deal with him gently, real easy. Um, and like I said, he
So
hasn't been a problem.
he's one of the players that need an arm on the shoulder.
Yes, from time to time, he could need that little arm on his shoulder. He likes to talk a little bit. I don't mind that, but it's been good.
So the other day, you guys had an element of surprise in D'Amico Coddington. I've heard he had to quarantine and get locked on. Are we going to see D'Amico on Wednesday?
Like I tell you, we're gonna be the tornado on Wednesday, so you wouldn't know. So we just show up.
Oh, Mark's clever.
You can see the hurricane coming. You can't see the tornado.
uh, but it's interesting. I mean, I watched the game. How you guys actually managed the game the other day, coming back from 2-0 down against Somerset. And that momentum shifts.
Yeah.
That momentum shifts, and for me, very good decisions were being made. Uh, what's the fitness level of Bascom? He done a lot of good work in having the ball played into him and interact with the rest of the team. What's his fitness level?
Unfortunately, Jawande is going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two. Very hard to lose him. He's worked hard at his game. It's been a pleasure these last couple of weeks to have. It's been good to work with. It's helped the team a lot. Um, but it's just going to be a miss. But we're ready for that. That we've got somebody to fill in for him.
Hmm.
Yes, definitely going to be a miss.
So at any time, there's whispers of this is is a new youth explosion going on in there. When I look at when I analyze the team, so let's even just start from the goalkeeper in Jaden Mendes, the son of Anthony Mendes. Here's a new improved version. He uses his feet. Is there a new youth explosion going on out there anytime?
Like I said earlier, Benetton's always gonna have youth coming through. So like that's just our in our DNA. Our youth program is pretty good. It's one of the best in Bermuda, in my opinion.
Oh,
So
okay.
one of the best. I didn't say the best, but yeah, anyway. But it shows constantly season after season. We always got some new young player coming through that can fill a gap and get the job done. So Jaden is an outstanding keeper. We have three young keepers. He's actually the oldest of our keepers. So we have Malai Pirod and Julian Roser, I believe his name is. So
Mm.
and we fully trust them to play. So and they all play it. They all got victories for us. They all done the job. So Benetton drives on our youth coming through.
Well, you have the center halves. You have Jermaine. You have Ernest. They, when I compare generations, okay, let's say Ernest is a tortoise, but he passes better. He passes better coming out of the back than Troy Durham, and then you have another pass in Jermaine that actually moves the ball a lot better than Wayne Campbell that used to just move the ball. Comparing generations, what would you think about this generation based on that older generation that was there?
Um, Football evolves, so the players got to evolve. You can't play like that. Not saying that they wasn't good in their day, but that style of football is over. So now you have ball playing center backs that can dribble and drive into the midfield space, make passes, and aside from Tino, you spoke earlier, is probably one of the best passes in the island, in my opinion. Not just because he's my brother.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. But but
That
honestly,
was
but
that was it.
Jermaine can definitely pass. His range of passing is crazy. So that's just the way the game's going on. So the more ball players you have on the field, the better chance you have of playing football like we're trying to do.
So Alfie, a question for you. I mean, I'm although I'm from North Village, I'm a Russell, and I grew up City Hill.
Yeah.
I grew up sitting on the fence, watching PAC train. You guys had to send Sammy Swan home a lot of nights. A lot of nights you had to send your top striker home. How did you guys figure out how to manage the Sammy Swan that was on the edge and what he brought to the field?
Well, I think first of all, we had a code of discipline at PHC during my time. Right? And it made no difference who the player was. Right? If you didn't conform, you couldn't play. And it was that simple. But Sammy had a lot of other interests. Like football was not really his first interest. He loved to scramble,
Hmm.
and he even dabbled in riding horses. So he felt that when he wanted to train, he'd come to training. But we used to say, no, you have to train to play. And yes, Sammy was one of the better players at PHC. We done the same thing with Kenny Burke. We done the same thing with Jack Castle. You know, Rango Starr. Look, you just can't do what you want. Football is a team game, and your team depends on you. Um, I don't know about today, but in my day, we took very seriously a player getting a red card. Like, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. If you do that, you are not thinking of your teammates. They're working just as hard as you, okay? And for you to do something that warrants a red card, you don't have an interest in your teammates. And as a result, we used to punish players. In my day, we punished you. If you got a red card, which meant you got a 3 game suspension, and you got some more game suspension from us. And that meant you couldn't even train
Hmm.
until your whatever suspension we gave you was up. So we kind of prided ourselves on the discipline factor of it. Yeah, we had guys that would threaten. Well, go ahead, threaten, but you're not playing anyhow. So um, the message got through, and as a result, I don't know if they still have it today, but they used to have what they call the Fair Play Award.
They do have it in the world game.
They still have it now in
In the
locally.
world, not locally, but the
Uh,
world game, yeah.
we used to have um, they used to have this Fair Play Award. Team that got the least amount of points or whatever
Mm,
cards. And I think PAC won that about 4 or 5 times.
mm.
You know, because we would not stand for players acting any strange way on the field, whether you want the edge or not. You had to play game. That's what you were selected to
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's move on to another trivia question. Uh, how many times have Devonshire Cougars won the Dog League? And that's just reaching this nice, pretty big. Thank you, Mr. Eve, for your participation here. I appreciate it. I will see you on Wednesday.
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the old buddy yes.
Okay.
Okay. Nice meeting you guys.
All right,
See
Mr.
you
Eve.
later.
And the prize for the question again, I'll just repeat the question: is how many times has Devonshire Cougars won the Dudley Eve? And the prize is $100 gift voucher at Sports Locker. Uh, so again, the prize goes out to the first person that goes on the Digicel Facebook and answers the question: how many times have Devonshire Cougars won the Dudley Eve? Mm. Uh, okay, we have a winner. Kenshay Mills understands that Cougars has only won the dog league one time to Dandytown 6. Does that play into this? That you're not been that successful at this tournament? Dandytown's got history and Dandytown's got pedigree at this level. Does that play into
No, not at all. There's no burns on the game.
uh, so definitely Kwame, and let's speak about this. Kwame played his best years of football at Devonshire Cougars. You played beside him, so you guys know a lot about each other. Does he have an advantage over knowing the keys? He once had the keys to the rack.
Yes, he once had the keys to the rack, but it's a different. He knows everybody too, but it's a different playing staff now. When he left, it was, am I right? Group of guys, a lot of different crop of players, some senior players, guys that came back to the club. But on the inside, he does know us. But I'd like to think that what he evolved since the last time he was,
Mhm.
was had them keys.
So another player that's impressed me at your club is Wally Salamsby. Bless Wally. He's recently passed away, but his manages the game well. I saw the time that he got a rare card that he didn't play, that the management part of the tempo of the game wasn't there. What does he mean to your team?
This is my captain. This is my vice captain. It's like the second hand of him when it comes to the younger generation. And he's the inspirational player on our team. Every team has one. He inspires us. When he's on, it's very hard to beat us. And Zara is on.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean these are players. Just switching over to you, White there. So at the heart of the defense of you and your brother, you know, you guys do kick guys too, man. You guys are like hard nosed. I don't think I would have gone over the other side, right? Uh, what does it mean for you and your brother to be peering up in the heart of that defense? You know.
Now, to us, is nothing new. We've been playing that position all our life. I mean, we played together through so many games, finals. Guys have been there. So, with us, it's natural for you guys. Yeah.
So I grew up playing football with my brothers, or coaching my brothers. They're a bit younger than me. Kofi Deal, Marlon Deal. I grew up with also my cousins playing, coaching my cousins. Football was always around the table. What is it like for your family when it comes to football? That you playing with you and your brother.
Uh, it's always been there. It's always been there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
It's
yeah,
part of life
yeah.
now.
Like I say,
Huh.
all is life, and I always say it. It's a real life.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you say stuff like that. When we dig into football, right, and people call it a game, but all of us sit here today, this is not really a game. This is what we're doing in our life. I mean, I have the confidence to sit here in front of TV because of the confidence I gained in a football match, winning or losing or whatever. So I have that confidence being on a stage and learning to talk to people, learning to do certain things like that. What do we need? And this is a question for Mark. What do we need more holistically to give other people that shy away from these type of situations to get in front of the stage and express themselves, via the sport of football?
Well, from just to give you a nudge, I think what you're doing is excellent on Sunday evenings and bringing it this right here, but bringing it to the people. Maybe the one side, maybe the ones that don't come out to the games. This should inspire them. Like people that love the game, like Mr. Eve. I know a lot of guys that say I ain't been to a game in 20 years, you know, and you're missing out, because you're missing. At the same time, you're missing out, and you are part of the problem too because you're not
Supporting
supporting,
and participating.
So how a man supposed to get battle or feel like you know, his forms up or when he clears all his chest. So it's got 2,000 people to the game, but
I mean,
when you look, you got 200 people. It's a big difference.
I totally agree, right? I totally agree because the accountability of keeping people in check
Yes.
on a public stage
Yeah.
needs to be there.
Yeah.
So I look at myself having my history in football. I've been part of North Village, we won the Triple Crown, and now I enter in dynamics like this to keep people accountable. And not always I have positive feedback. I have some negative feedback for people
Yes.
too, to be able to be accountable to people to grow. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That people that choose not to support from whatever angle, and there's different ways to support, not always as a fan or so there's different ways to support. And I think it's a problem for our country that we're letting ourselves down.
Yes.
So some of the older generations that don't support, we have let ourselves down and let the newer generations down from not being keeping them accountable.
Yes.
And what we see, for me, what we see in the streets and the problems that we see in the streets is manifesting itself because we let ourselves down.
Yes.
So I give kudos to the people that are still in the trenches, like yourself, you know, and like Daryl, they're still in the trenches dealing with whatever comes with it. Because, like I said, it's this is life.
Yes.
Right.
Can
So sure,
could I
sure.
just touch on your part about public accountability? Like from when I was a player, I can remember when I was a player, 23, 24, or even right up to today, wherever I go, people call me Cougar. So I'm
Yeah.
recognized through football. So no matter where I go, I'm always got to be acting proper.
Accountability.
I have my moments, but
All
I
right.
have to hold
As we
myself accountable because I'm a Daventry Cougar. I represent Daventry Cougars no matter where I go.
exactly.
Public accountability. So
And it
a lot of people, will heal you up, say, look, what you doing during that deal, or how you heading to your game, mate, or you need a pair of boots, mate. These two guys don't get that. You know what I'm saying? New sponsors, no.
they need that in
They
it.
need that, So that's a public accountability.
I mean, that's the same thing with me. I mean, thank God for no social media when I was playing the game or I was coming up through the game. Some of the things that I did, I'll say it on the field was like,
Yes,
hey mate, I didn't really mean that. We was
yes,
just
yes.
we was just playing football, right? I didn't really mean that, But you grow up through the game. You grow up through sports, and it teaches you certain lessons as you're learning to manage yourself. So that public accountability, it needs to come back from everybody in our community to hold people accountable.
Yes.
And like I said, is you know I give you something. Your goalkeeper, right? I had him in the youth squad,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was a little bit iffy having him in the Bermuda National Youth Squad. And one day I called him real model, and he was at about 14 there, and he looked at me, Real model, like nobody said that in school to me. And I saw how all the other kids looked up to him. All the other kids, he's a goalkeeper. And on the trip, we was representing Bermuda. On the trip, I kept on calling him real model, and that's a name that I give him today. And just me calling him real model on that trip changed the dynamics. I called him, yeah, I called him real model, and it's like, you are a role model, and if you don't give these kids an avenue, they're gonna show you.
Yes.
If they will show you
Yes.
if you don't give them an avenue to express themselves. So, you know, even me as a person that came from a family that had two parents, and you can call it a silver spoon or whatever you want to call it. I s- it's the game that taught me.
Hmm.
The game that
Yes.
taught me stuff that my parents couldn't teach me, that
Yes.
wanted to teach
Yes.
me, that my school taught me. So let's just move on to the next trivia question. Yeah. Which club has won the dog leave the most times? And how many times have they won it? So just I'm getting used to this. I'm getting managed here. I'm getting and let me just give a great shout out to Kerlandra Smith, man. She's had a lot of patience with me, getting up to speed. I'm transitioning from my old habits. I'm learning how to use Instagram. I'm learning how to get followers. Before, I'll be scared if 1,000 people are following me, but now, I'm gonna get people to follow me. All right. Okay. The prize for the fourth question, which club has won the dog leave the most times, is a $100 credit. So again, to collect your prize, you have to come to Digicel tomorrow after 10:30 to collect your prize. So the first person to answer correctly which club has won the dog leave the most, uh, is in business here. For you, is it intimidating that to know that you're not gonna intimidate Cougars? You know definitely you're not gonna intimidate them with your style of play. You know they're gonna come aggressive. We know that they have an aggressive element to them. They can match you for football. How do you prepare for that?
Um, like I said, the team's definitely prepared, but
And they
I
can bully you. The last game they bullied you. Let's be honest, they was able, White, these guys were able to bully your younger players.
so so just like they said, the different team. What different team from the first game of the season? A total different team. So we what evolved, we're still evolving. So we always wanted to play football, but we're better at playing football now. So that game that we played, that's in the past. That game's in the past. We're a different team now. So I'm confident that if we do, we can impose our game plan on them, then we get the result.
Mm,
Just like the last time we was at National Stadium.
okay. So, National Stadium. I used to
It's
call it the red carpet.
something about playing up National Stadium. If
Yeah,
you don't want to play up there, then you should be playing
yeah. I
football.
think during my time, we labeled the National Stadium the red carpet. Are you guys trying to paint it green and gold? And
Definitely
I
brown
don't
and
know if
yellow.
there's colors look nice up there, right? Red carpet is like it looks nice up there.
It's the
Can
brown. It's the
you,
brown.
you know, is brown and gold going on up there now?
We have a question from Miss Fanny Yvonne Beckley. She says, "Do you think the coaches should visit their players at the school to get a report or just some feedback? I understand we don't want to make it punitive, but if they are representing a team, pride, accountability, be responsible, respectful."
Well, very good question. In other jurisdictions, is normal.
Hmm.
I've had my son out of Bermuda since he's been 12 and 12 years old. It's normal that there is a partnership with school and sports because school knows if you build school pride through sports. Boys and even girls, some people they don't go to school for education. They go to school for the sports and they get an education. So I'm a product of that. I'm a product of I didn't go away to college for an education. I didn't. I really didn't. I went away to college because somebody offered me a football scholarship and I got an education on the way. So if you ask Any kid that's 5 years old, 6 years old, why he goes to school, he'll tell you for gym and for sports. And he ends up, okay, my mama, like, for me, in high school, if you didn't tell my mother and my daddy, if, you if I would take an F in a class to go on the field and play football if you didn't tell my mama and my daddy. The only reason that I did my schoolwork because you would tell my mama and my daddy on me. So that's the importance of the collaboration of sports and school. Everybody else in the world sees it as one thing. It's not separate. In Bermuda, we see it as separate that you either got to be academic or you got to be athletic. Everybody else knows that that's a married relationship. So even if you take it away from football, you take track and field. Let's talk about what's happening in Jamaica track and field, how they're growing their economy in track and field. I went to school again in 91 to 96 in Alabama. I went to a black college. And in my black college, I saw the Jamaicans come to school and they are running the Olympics for US. Jamaica fixed it. You know what Jamaica did? Jamaica built the fastest runner in Jamaica named Usain Bolt. All his training was done in Jamaica. And you know what it's done to their school system? That's growing their school system, that's growing their track and field, and he was built in Jamaica. So we have a winner for the fourth question. Kelly Simons is one again. Kelly, man, you got inside information, man. Kelly, you got inside information, Kelly. How you? And the answer to the question is PhD 8 times. So PhD, and we just it's unfortunate we had Doug Leave just left here, but the trophy has been named after his father, and his own club in PhD's won it the most times. You know. Yeah. So let me just run off the last question, the fifth and last question. How do teams participate to qualify in the Doug Leave? Again, first winner. Huh? Yeah, she's managing me. I need management. I'm just like the players. I need management. Yeah, read it out.
The prize for this question is a $50 gift voucher to Phoenix.
Yeah. And yeah, and again, the first person to answer that question correctly, how do teams qualify to participate in the Dog Leave? Will get a $50 gift voucher. Uh,
She can't be in the
Kelly's on it.
Oh, but she's answering. She just
Oh Jesus! Oh, Kelly, you're tuned in. You're tuned in. Yeah, and public, feel free to call in with any questions you want answered of the panel here. Feel free to type in or call in to get their feedback because in my head we have to start to take on board the information from the soldiers on the ground if we're going to build up our sport. And this is we're not just talking about football, we're talking about cricket and all our sports. We have to respect the soldiers on the ground because they're connected. They're connected to what what happens. You know. So just as I was finishing off your story about Jamaica and what is happening and the relevance between sports and school, you know, what you see happening in Jamaica and all the other Caribbean islands flocking to Jamaica for school and sports. And they built, like I said, they built the fastest runners up to 400 meters, male and female. And they did it consistent because they have programming. Now, Bermudians are going to say, well, we're small. That's what Bermudians are going to say. But Jamaica is smaller than Russia. Jamaica is smaller than USA. But they still got the fastest people in the world. They not just got the fastest people in the Caribbean. They got the fastest people in the world. And what they have is collaboration between school and sports. And they have programming. And the next thing Jamaica's doing now,
school is top
yeah,
two. So
yeah. And the next thing Jamaica's doing now is globalizing themselves. They're globalizing themselves by forming a relationship with Germany. So take the Jamaican aggression, because we know they got aggression, and put it to the German organization. What that's going to make? Yeah. So we have a lot to learn to grow our sports product in Bermuda. You know, is that sorry? Just
The
Miles
Mouse
Youssef,
USAC
he won
one
again.
now.
Mr. Mouse Youssef won the fifth question, and the answer at this moment is the top 16s from the previous season, and that's just a deviation from what it used to be because Doug Levi used to be played over the Christmas period, and it used to be the top four teams. So it used to be the motivation for you to get in that top four so you can play over Christmas, and it allowed the college kids that were returning to add a lot more value. So North Village, I know North Village used to use the college kids a lot and RAS players to get into the second half of the season, which a lot of clubs used to do. Danny Town used to do it as well.
Question.
Sure.
My question, I'm not sure if they can hear me, but my question is, there's a few cops throughout the season. Is Dudley Eve one of the favorite cops that teams try to compete and win, or is it just like every team wins every cop?
I let the coaches answer that one.
For me, I know at Dennytown, we it's like it's what we want to win all the cups, like legit. Like we come there, we're not just trying to come second in the league or we're trying to win all the cups. That's just our mentality, our goal. Like so that's why we're here. We're not just here to just say we're competing or we're playing. So we definitely want to win all the cups. I wouldn't say Dudley is one of the top clubs or the best clubs that you want to be in, but it's a cup. And if you got the cup, then you was the best at that time, or you're the best. So
Yeah, I mean, man, athletes and men, not even just men. I don't want to be gender biased. Even women, when they get there to compete. I mean,
that's what you're there for.
when I grew up, I would play in the backyard with my cousin Wendy Warren, Formula Wendy Bean. And if she beat me at 10 years old, it was a fight,
I have one more
and
question.
she used to beat the fights.
How is Cougars preparing for this match? Have you told your players there's certain things they cannot do, like can they not party until after Wednesday, or are they eating differently, drinking differently?
That's a good question. Let's see, this will make our third final in the last what, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years,
So you've made it two
2 years,
finals.
three finals. I made three finals and we lost them all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's from poor preparation. So that was my words to him was you learned your lesson from the last previous finals. Because I can remember the what's the Christmas one, the friendship. We was in the friendship final the day after New Year's. And the instructions was, guys, don't go out, don't drink, leave your girl alone for the night, whatever, boom, boom, boom. And guys come in the next day.
It's New
Turned up.
Year's, man.
As it turned up, guys looking old froggy face, 20, 30 minutes in the game plan's going out the window, and we lose on a 90-minute corner to a cricket team, and it hurt. Yes, yes,
I
yes.
love that.
No offense taken, but
yeah.
yeah. Yes, yes, the cricket team. They compete for cricket trophies. Yes, they won their first trophy over Cougars. I had to go sleep to that. So it was a problem.
I have another question. Do you guys like to see your fans in the stadium wearing colors anymore, or does it matter to you?
Yeah, we got pretty colors, so our colors are always on display. You know what I'm saying? And we got the shirts for sale, so you can come to the club and get your jersey and whatever you need, your little green and gold trinkets. Yes.
What about you, Tom? You guys got anything?
Yeah, we have scarves and masks and jerseys that our fans definitely can buy. Most of them have, so it's nice when you look in the crowd and you see your colors. It just makes you feel.
So let us know so we could buy apparel from Cougars.
Yes, you come to the club and get our apparel. You contact Mark Steed and you get whatever you need, a jersey and stuff.
For us, I believe you can contact Shonette Pirot. She handles all sales, apparel, and everything else. So.
But that brings an interesting point, though. The last trophies that you lost, Kwame Steve was the coach.
Hmm.
Does that play into that? Yeah,
That's
does
our
that play
cleansing.
into
That's
it?
our cleanliness.
Does that play into it? He was the coach of Cougars.
No, no, that no, what move doing? We're not running off of that. No, we're not running off of that. Yeah, Kwame is cool, but we're not running off of that. We got business from we hit preseason. Then first, like you say, you saw him up in the Arboretum. I mean, when we went up in the Arboretum, we was thinking about November 11th, fresh dance. Yes.
Well, hey, I'm enjoying this. These are the things that we have to do a lot more, and Digisal are going to be looking to dive into sports from perspectives like this, just to hype it up and just make sports people know what they're doing is important. It's not just important to themselves; it's important to our country, and putting us on the map at sports. Man. We have to figure out how to move it forward collectively. So thank you to Digisal and thank you to Calandra. I mean, you're wonderful. I love your aggression to make things happen, man. And we need to not be afraid of that, the people that are aggressive and to get things done. Let's see you guys on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to the post game interviews. School might be in.
All right.